and he's done that multiple times this year.
He's had 30 or more in 3 of his last 5 games. And has already established this
the pick and roll, the short roll, he catches it, and then the beautiful elevation and knockdown.
Has already established the Stanford freshman record for points in a game when he dropped 32 on Colorado.
And I think the things to watch, which team can control the pace and the tempo of this game. North Carolina, we know they want to play up and down. They want to get this game into the mid-80s and into the 90s scoring-wise. And then Stanford wants to slow them down, take away their transition, make this a half-court game as best as possible.
Here is Caleb Wilson on a step back, and the game's first points. 17 seconds in belong to Caleb Wilson.
And there's that mid-range jump shot that we talked about in the open. The pick and roll, the short roll, he catches it, and then the beautiful elevation and knockdown.
Starting 5 for Stanford across the bottom of your screen. Shot clock at 10. Ryan Agarwal moving in. Gets underneath. The pump fake that he saw Henry Vasar in his rearview mirrors, and Carolina racing back the other way to the bucket. The layup, set Trimble in transition.
Well, Stanford's going to have to do a great job of taking care of the basketball. Agarwal tries to make the pass into the paint, but no one was home there.
Oscar Hielte, the freshman from Belgium, going to work down low. And with the left hand, gets the roll, and Stanford's first points.
Like that move from the freshman, just patience in the post, using his pivots, and gets to that left-hand jump hook.
He's taken over as the starting center for the Cardinal, poked away by Benny Geeler, and then Henry Vasar goes down. A foul call on Hielte of Stanford. The first whistled against the Cardinal, and that's one thing you got to pay attention to. Benny Geelers loves to, you bring the ball down, loves to try to knock it away, leads the Stanford team in steals.
Well, he's a guy who's super active. Coach Kyle Smith, he praises Benny Geeler. Just tell him you are an ACC player. He's a guy that comes from Rolling Hills Prep High School in Palos Verdes.
Came to Stanford as a walk-on and was rewarded a scholarship by Jared Haas, and Jared let go. Now Kyle Smith in his second year, and Benny Geeler's game has really taken off, and he's become an integral part of what this team does.
Yeah, and they really rely on him being one of the best defenders on the floor. He got challenged over his time here as a Stanford Cardinal to be a better defender, and he has risen to that challenge as a player now.
The concern for Stanford in the perimeter, Miles, their size, and a team like North Carolina can take advantage of that. Here's Henry Vasar down low. Pass deflected, stays with the Tar Heels, and 7 to shoot.
Rahosi with good post defense right there. Vasar tries to go to the back down, but couldn't move Rahosi off his spot.
7 on the timer. It's A.J. Rahosi checking in for Stanford. Celebrating a birthday, by the way, today, the grad transfer. Driving the lob, and Wilson has it knocked away at the rim. Diving for the ball is Rahosi. Vasar ends up on top of him, and they're calling a foul on Henry Vasar.
Great rotation on the backside. Agarwal puts his body on Caleb Wilson to deflect the lob, and then Ulov's even got first to the floor is going to win that battle. Excellent job by Rahosi getting down on the floor and getting the possession for the Stanford Cardinal.
Stanford's offense struggled against Virginia, scored just 55 points. Abuka Okorie deep on a 3. And the rebound grab by Kyan Evans for the Tar Heels. But the 6 shot clock violations at Virginia against the Cavaliers last Saturday. Vasar going to work. Left it short, and Ryan Agarwal the rebound for Stanford.
2 good defensive possessions by Rahosi in the post. Vasar not able to back him down. I want to see Vasar maybe face up, use his quickness to try to go by Rahosi.
Benny Geeler slides in, finds Okorie. Ryan Agarwal launching. 3.
Really good possession by the Cardinal. The baseline drive and drift action, and then the extra pass to the wide open Agarwal.
Caleb Wilson looked like he had it slip out of his hand as he was going up, and Stanford comes away with it. Benny Geeler open. Too strong on the three, and Henry Vasar the rebound. And here come the Tar Heels. Kyan Evans in transition. Trimble the floater, and Carolina seesaws in front.
A little bit of secondary break action there for the Tar Heels as Trimble's trailing to play. Good job of probing by Evans and finding the trailer Trimble.
A.J. Rahosi in the lane. Up and under by Rahosi. And it falls off, trying to keep it alive, and the rebound grab, Jaron Stevenson for North Carolina.
It's a battle down there between the two big fellas.
Vasar. And he was off balance, and good post defense by A.J. Rahosi.
He's got to go away from that. It's 0 for 3 on the post possessions there. Vasar's going to have to go to something else.
Ryan Agarwal missing the step back, and Caleb Wilson the rebound. And Carolina controls it 4 minutes in and a 1-point lead.
Both teams a little bit gassed here. They want this TV timeout.
The pace at Carolina's liking, even though the score.
At Virginia, they're averaging 85 points per game, have 5 guys averaging double figures. ACC always going to be a battle.
On the drive, slicing in, and Caleb Wilson with a follow slam.
You know, even though Trimble missed that, he drew multiple defenders to himself, and that gave Caleb Wilson the free run to the rim for the follow slam.
3-point Carolina lead. Aiden Kamen off the Stanford bench, as is Jeremy Dent-Smith, the grad transfer from Cal State Dominguez Hills, was a Division II All-American. As the pass broken up by Seth Trimble, and it's out of bounds. It belongs to North Carolina.
Well, there's the drive. Multiple defenders collapse to Trimble. He's one of the best at touching the paint, and that leaves the free run for Caleb Wilson for the slam, for the putback follow.
Mismatch down low. Ball stripped in the lane. Recovering is Luka Bogobats. Shot clock down to 8. And the rebound batted out by Oscar Hielte, but the Tar Heels get it, lining up a 3, and it goes for Kyan Evans.
Just a bad break there for the Cardinal. That loose ball, they have to come down with those. And then Kyan Evans pays it off with the 3-point shot in the corner.
7-0 run for UNC.
North Carolina in a 1-through-5 switching right now. See if they can expose that matchup into the paint.
5 to shoot for Stanford. Ryan Agarwal drives. Off balance, and a foul called, and Kyan Evans in disbelief. And that'll put Stanford at the free throw line. Coming up next, our triple header continues over at Haas Pavilion in Berkeley is number 6 Duke, with their Wooden Award frontrunner Cameron Boozer. The Blue Devils invading Berkeley, taking on Mark Matson's Cal Bears. Also available on the ESPN app. Wes Durham and Dennis Scott over in Berkeley for that one. Speaking of great freshmen, and I'm not talking about Dana Ames, who's not a freshman.
No, Boozer's an absolute stud, man. That young man can do it all. Handle the ball, post up, excellent passer, and I really think underrated in that category. Like people talk about his points, but man, when he plays in the post or handles the ball on the perimeter, man, he really gets his other teammates involved and able to find them.
Henry Vasar on the block. And the jump hook using the glass, and Vasar's first points.
So the difference there is now he goes against Hielte. Okay, Rahosi stood him up in the post. Hielte, a little bit less resistance. Vasar felt comfortable right there and gets to the soft jump hook off the glass. Stanford's got to get a shot for Okorie.
Carolina's done a good job against the freshman so far.
Well, you see they committed to him in the gap there. It was good help and recover by Trimble. He's open on the weak side.
They find him. Abuka Okorie. 3. First points for Ebuka Okorie, who averages over 22 a game. Step back on the baseline, Luka Bogovac, the junior from Montenegro.
Yeah, and that's big for his confidence. Bogovac has come in. He hasn't shot the ball as well as they expected. Only 31% from three on the season. But right there, that's a confidence builder for him. And then here's the post up by Vesar, right? The back down, the pivot, puts his shoulder down low into Hielte. And then Okorie with the answer. The ball gets swing. Carolina's in rotation. Vesar's too late, and Okorie makes him pay.
Last shot was ruled a 2 by Okorie, by the way. His foot was on the line, so it's 15-8 North Carolina. Jeremy Dent-Smith from way out there rattles. That's a no-doubter three.
He is not shy. This young man was a two-time All-American at Cal State Dominguez Hills in Southern California. Played for a Division II national championship last year.
Henry Vesar counters at the other end with 3.
He's so good. One of the best big men in all of college basketball, shooting over 50% on the season from behind the arc. Pick and pop. You've seen him play in the post, inside and out threat.
Oscar Hielte underneath. And challenged by Vesar, blocks the shot, and Carolina comes away with it. Cameron Grant off the bench for Kyle Smith and Stanford. Here is Wilson. Terrific move on the baseline by Caleb Wilson.
The footwork was beautiful right there. He gets cut off on the first move, and then he spins back baseline. Something Coach Hubert Davis talked about with us at shoot-around today is that he keeps getting fundamentally better. Obviously, he can do some spectacular things with the ball and his body, and he plays above the rim. But now it's like the fundamental part of the game is really turning on for Caleb Wilson, and you saw that right there with the footwork in the post.
Tar Heels have made their last 5 shots from the floor. Miscommunication. Jeremy Dent-Smith one-on-one with Derek Dixon. Drives in and powers it off the window and in.
Good finish. Dent-Smith more of like a microwave scorer. 19 points per game at the D2 level. Good confidence for him because he had been struggling from 3 the last 6 games. He made one, now he attacks. He was 2 for 18 in the last 6 from behind the arc.
Henry Vesar.
Very, very good defender. Okay, he blocks shots. He steals the basketball. I mean, you're going to look at a guy, and I know he doesn't shoot a lot of threes quite yet in his career. He's only 4 for 16 on the season, 25%. But watching his shooting motion and stroke during warmups, that's something that's going to vastly improve, I think, at a rapid rate once he gets to the NBA.
Vesar splits the pair. Henry Vesar 1 for 2 at the line. And it's Carolina by 8. And Stanford has had some prolonged droughts this season as Ebuka Okorie starting to find his game offensively. And he's got 4.
Man, he's smooth. Okay, I love the over-the-top pass against the pressure. And then the fact that Okorie's not scared. He just goes down, shoots the little floater over the big. It's good offense.
Henry Vesar rattles it in from the lane. And Carolina's getting in the paint, and they are attacking.
Way too easy. 12 points in the paint already for the Tar Heels.
And Vesar with 8. And the Carolina lead is 8. A.J. Rahosi down low. And he can't get that to go. And here come the Tar Heels. Tough floater across the key. A wild shot by Luka Bogovac. And Stanford brings it up. And Ebuka Okorie 1-on-3 drives, throws it up, and nearly went in. And Carolina racing back the other way with Derek Dixon. And a block is called as Donovan Young was inside the restricted area. And 2 free throws for Jared Stevenson and the Tar Heels. ACC Network's Thursday women's doubleheader. Number 9 Louisville takes on Hannah Hidalgo. And number 23 Notre Dame, 6 Eastern. And then Duke and Virginia from Cameron Indoor. Both games are available on the ESPN app. Kyle Smith questioning the call as the block was called on Stanford in our crew tonight, with Bill Covington Jr. working with Jamel Spearman and Greg Nixon. So the foul was called on Okorie, his first. And then a technical was assessed to the Cardinal as well after the foul call. Jaron Stevenson will shoot 2. And the first one rolls in, a 78% foul shooter. One more for the junior from Chapel Hill, the transfer from Alabama. Stevenson rattles into second as well. And this is the play that Stanford was upset about, as a block was called on Donovan Young.
That's a block. I mean, I don't know, so upset. Obviously you want the calls to go your way, but that's a block. He's still moving, whether he was out of the restricted or not. That was a blocking foul.
They reported the wrong number. That's why they went to the monitor to make sure they had the correct foul call. So the blocking foul on Donovan Young, and then the technical was also assessed to Stanford and to Donovan Young, so he picked up 2 fouls on that one play.
And when you're already short-handed, okay, without Okpara, the size, some size that you had on the inside, that really hurts this Stanford team.
Stevenson, who shot the technicals first, and now the common foul free throws, as Carolina has opened up a double-digit lead here midway through half number 1.
Stevenson's a guy that Coach Hubert Davis is super high on. Coach Davis told me, he's like, I think he's going to be an NBA player because he can defend, play multiple positions. He said he's the nicest kid that he's almost ever coached, and he said he just wants him to be a jerk for 2 to 2.5 hours a day. That's it. That's all he wants from him. Then he can go back to being the nicest guy in the world.
Foul off the ball in North Carolina, and it's a hold on Jonathan Powell. First on Powell, and team foul number 3 on the Tar Heels.
So right now, if you're Stanford, okay, you're down 12 points about midway through the first half. Okorie's got to be the guy. Get him involved. He's got to touch the ball each and every time down. Probably going to have to force the action a little bit.
Up and under, leans in, and he gets the soft touch to drop. And Okorie goes to work.
And that's exactly why, because he's a guy that can create his own, use the pick and roll, okay, get to the rim, and create for his teammates. Continually put the ball in his hands.
He's got the ability to take over a game. As Henry Vasar, a tough step back from the 7-footer.
Stanford went to zone right there, but they didn't keep the ball out of the paint. They found the Tar Heels found the soft spot in the zone with the big fella Vasar.
Stanford trying anything right now to try to slow down the Tar Heels. Okorie, 3.
That's what I'm saying, Roxy. Keep finding him, keep feeding him. They run the set call to bring Okorie out of the corner right there.
Down the lane, the drive, and a pretty finish by Jonathan Powell.
That was a great job by Powell, turning the corner, getting to the paint. But underrated thing, Henry Vasar just sealing off his guy to free it up at the rim.
Cameron Grant spots up in the corner. The 3 pops out, the rebound run down, Seth Trimble. Had it knocked away by Benny Keeler, and A.J. Rahosi comes down with it for the Cardinal. Ryan Agarwal, too strong on the 3, and Henry Vasar pulls down the rebound. And Carolina quickly pushes it back, but Okorie steals it. Stanford in transition. Agarwal to the basket, the reverse by Ryan Agarwal.
Defense to offense for this Cardinal team, created by Okorie, playing the passing lane, and then finding Agarwal with the beautiful reverse finish.
Step back, tough shot, Jonathan Powell. And A.J. Rahosi watched it trickle out of bounds. It belongs to Stanford. 6 points, 5 rebounds for Caleb Wilson. Ebuka Okorie leading Stanford with 9, and the freshman brings it up for the Cardinal. Okorie gets inside. The scoop. How about that move by Ebuka Okorie?
That's pro. Okay. That's some NBA stuff. That's holding his guy off on the pick and roll so he can't get back in front. And then the inside hand finish versus the 7-footer.
Now the zone for Kyle Smith. Kyan Evans gets in the lane. Jaden Young way out top. Deep three from Evans. And a foul going for the rebound. It's a push on Cameron Grant of Stanford.
Well, Ebuka Okorie running that mid pick and roll, but look at the physicality. Like usually you think of physicality on defense, but look at the physicality he played with on offense right there against Seth Trimble, one of the better defenders in the country, and then he finds a way to score, being crafty around the rim.
Shot clock with the crew on the sidelines providing commentary and reactions. And after the game, we'll have a complete breakdown with coach and player interviews. Miami, Indiana on Monday.
Who you got?
Going with the U. I'm taking Miami.
You're taking Miami. Aren't they banged up a little bit?
We're on the ACC network. We got to play homers. And Kyle Smith again not happy with the call, and a foul on Stanford.
Looks like a lot of ball. Good hands by Agarwal.
First foul called on Agarwal. That's the 7th, putting North Carolina into the bonus. Shooting foul 2 for Henry Vesar. Vesar 1 for 2 at the line.
You know, what a great impact that Vesar has had for this North Carolina team this year. He's been a leader. He's a great competitor. Coach Davis described him as like he's a quiet young man, but in the games he's a great talker, which is really what you want. Like in games and in the huddles, not only like motivating his teammates, but describing and seeing and letting guys know what's happening on the floor and what they can like go after and exploit and what they have to do better.
Jaden Young with the offensive rebound off the missed free throw, and Carolina up 8 with the ball again. Vesar has it knocked away by Grant, but a foul called on Stanford. This will be a 1-and-1 for Vesar. And it's the 2nd on Cameron Grant.
Well, you see the high-low action right there. Grant gets caught behind on Vesar. Vesar does a great job of sealing to try to get that high-low pass. But back to Vesar, he's really almost the most indispensable player. We know that Caleb Wilson is really, really good. But Vesar, because of his size, his shooting ability, his shot blocking ability, is almost the most indispensable player for this team. They don't really have a great backup 5 at this point. So when he's not on the floor, Carolina struggles at times. In the Michigan State game, when he wasn't in the game, they really got hurt against the Spartans.
Vesar hits both. He has 13. And the Tar Heels have pushed it back to double digits with just over 6 minutes left in the half.
Yeah, and I thought Vesar was big time for Arizona last year. Like really, really good. And
he stepped up when they needed him to in the injury to Motiejus Krivas.
Absolutely.
Ebuka Okorie across the key and 1. The dynamic Ebuka Okorie now with 13.
The burst, okay, off the crossover. Quick first step, the change of direction. Look how low he plays to the ground. And now that's the 2nd time against a bigger, more athletic defender. He goes with that inside hand layup. That is some tough finishing. That's like elite stuff that gets you to the NBA. Okay, we know he can shoot the ball, he can handle it, but touching the paint and being able to finish at the rim over bigger guys, elite skill set by Ebuka Okorie.
Stanford settling into the zone. Kyan Evans inside, and Stevenson gets bumped. And Jaron Stevenson will go to the foul line for North Carolina. Fouls on Aiden Kamen. First on Kamen. And now Stevenson shooting 2. And the former North Carolina Gatorade Player of the Year with the Tar Heel blood, with his mom being a really good player for the Tar Heels in the mid to late 90s. One more for Stevenson, and his dad was his high school coach in North Carolina. And his dad was a pretty good player in his own right. Played at Richmond and overseas. Missed both free throws, and the rebound, Ryan Agarwal for Stanford.
Let's see if they keep using Okorie in pick and roll.
Benny Keeler drives baseline. Ryan Agarwal, 3. 9 for Agarwal. Pass deflected by Agarwal out of bounds.
Subtle thing, but a big thing for Okorie. He gets double teamed in the pick and roll for the first time tonight. He zips that pass to the corner. Now Carolina's in a scramble situation, and they find one of their best shooters on the floor in Agarwal to knock down the three-point shot.
6 straight for Stanford, and the second 3 for Agarwal tonight. Wilson isolated, drives, and he scoots to the basket. It spins out for Caleb Wilson. Okorie penetrates, and he'll get to the line as he's clobbered and ends up out of bounds. Stanford was down 12. They have a chance to cut it to 2.
And it's been Okorie leading the way. This is a young man that comes from the New Hampshire area, went to Brewster Academy. I had the chance to talk to his high school coach, Jason Smith, one of the best high school coaches in the country, yesterday. So Okorie originally committed to Harvard, okay? He went home for fall break and told his parents, I don't want to go to Harvard. That's not my dream school. I feel I can play at a higher level. So he had really committed to them because of his parents and wanting to appease them. And Stanford was the first school. So sorry, let me go back. Jason Smith calls Georgetown, Vanderbilt, Michigan, because he's a high academic young man. Stanford was the first school to come in and watch him. They came 3 weeks in a row. That kind of set the precedent, and then building the relationship with this young man to able to get him in a Cardinal uniform.
But he had to sacrifice academics by going to Stanford, right?
I think it's working out well for him.
I think he found his place.
Yeah. I think he's going to make some money.
On the drive, Seth Trimble out of the double team, knocked away, and Stanford comes away with it.
Okorie trailing on the weak side.
A.J. Rahosi in the key. The drop off to Kamen, back to Rahosi, and a foul will get him to the line. And the interior passing by Stanford will get them 2 free throws.
Really good big-to-big passing right there.
You shoot it. No, you shoot it. That's what it looked, because Henry Vesar was right in their face. First foul on Luka Bogovac. And A.J. Rahosi's birthday today, and he's a great story as he went to Washington State when Kyle Smith was there. You can see free throws are not his strength, as he's only a 33% foul shooter, but walked on at Washington State, was there for a couple of years, transferred to Division III Claremont Mudd Scripps, was an academic All-American in addition to being an All-American at that level. And now for his last season, he's from the Bay Area, from the North Bay, playing for Kyle Smith again, although he missed both free throws.
And no offers out of high school. And now he's averaging 8 points a game in the ACC. What a great story, like you said.
Only played in 11 games in his 2 years at Washington State. And now challenging at the rim as Bogovac couldn't convert over the 6'9" Rahosi.
Now let's see how Stanford plays and reacts with no Okorie on the floor.
Benny Keeler, and we're tied at 34. First points for the senior. 10 straight for the Cardinal. Vesar, 3, right back at it for Carolina.
How good has this guy been in the first half? Vesar in the trail spot, and that's what you love, the versatility of Vesar and Wilson being able to play around the rim, and then Vesar at 7 feet playing on the perimeter and stretching the zone.
Carolina 3 of 5 from downtown. Aiden Kamen attacks. An off-balance tough shot, draws the foul. The second on Vasar with 3:13 left in the half. Stanford was down 12. They've come back. Tar Heels up 3.
Monday, the AT&T countdown to the college football playoff now.
Keeler gets the assist, but Okorie is the one initiated the play.
But that's just like it's an advanced play for a freshman to be double teamed, okay? And knowing he was a little bit hot at the time, that's why they sent the double team. But knowing just when to get off the ball and when to attack, that's all feel.
Aiden Kamen goes 1 for 2 at the line. Tar Heels up 2. Vasar sitting with the 2 fouls. So we'll see how Hubert Davis maneuvers these final 3 minutes when Henry Vasar right now on the bench.
Also, Stanford doing a better job the last week of not fouling, not sending Carolina to the line.
Open in the corner. And the stroke and a 3 for Luka Bogovac.
And that's what they've been looking for from Bogovac all season long. Here's a guy only shooting 31% coming into tonight's game. He shot the most threes on the team, has not shot it extremely well. But if he brings that to the table nightly, really helps this Tar Heel team.
Ryan Agarwal missing a 3, and the rebound grab by Seth Trimble for the Tar Heels. Wilson recovers. 10 on the shot clock. And a foul on the drive. Jeremy Dent-Smith with the push. And that'll put Luka Bogovac at the line for North Carolina. 10th team foul, the double bonus now for UNC. .73% for Bogovac at the line. Last couple of years played in the Adriatic Basketball League. A native of Montenegro, his dad was a player and coaches over there. And one more for Bogovac, who's had a nice game so far off the bench.
Yeah, one thing they've discovered about Bogovac is that he's a better ball handler than they anticipated. The shooting hasn't come around, but he can still find that. He's always going to be a threat. Okay, teams on the scouting report, they're not going to leave him open because he is dangerous from behind the arc. He does have great size, but if he can consistently find that shot and knock it down from behind the arc, that really opens things up even for guys like Caleb Wilson and Vasar.
After going scoreless in 2 of the last 3 games, he's got 7 now in the first half, and after Stanford tied the game, Carolina has pushed the lead out to 7.
Now let's see what adjustments Carolina is going to continue to make on Okorie as they run him off the little baseline screens here. Agarwal missed him.
Cameron Grant launching. 3. 6th first half 3 for the Cardinal.
But you can't lose Cameron Grant. He does one thing. He only shoots threes. 8 of his 9 makes, and 34 of his 35 shots are from behind the arc. Cameron Grant has to put the ball on the floor on any catch.
Good box out by Aiden Kamen, and Stanford controls. 90 seconds left in the half. And wave it off on the drive. And a foul committed by North Carolina.
Well, Okorie just dragging it out there. Okay, and then he finds the guy and delivers that ball on time, on target. Late closeout by the Tar Heels, and Grant knocks down the 3.
Stanford in the bonus. It'll be a 1-and-1 for Ebuka Okorie. Second foul on Kyan Evans.
And Roxy, going back to Okorie and his Brewster Academy days, that backcourt, okay, Okorie and Killian Torrey, okay, of Iowa State. Now that's like Okorie is the offensive monster, and Killian Torrey was the defensive giant. So the first day that Killian Torrey comes over to Brewster Academy, he picks up Ebuka Okorie full court, and he rips him. This is what Jason Smith is telling me. He rips him, goes down and dunks it. Ebuka Okorie looks over at Coach Smith and is like, nobody's ever done that to me before. And then he said, like, they had one of the best backcourts in high school basketball last year, but 2 guys who are super close with each other.
We can see why with their progress at both Stanford and Iowa State. 10 to shoot for North Carolina. Bogovac. Jaron Stevenson from deep and a 3. Just a 21% three-point shooter, and his first field goal of the game And it's a 5-point Tar Heel lead. North Carolina 5 of 7 from downtown. And now a Tar Heel foul will send Stanford back to the line.
Well, Stevenson on the little pick and pop action, gets his feet set, gets it over the high hands of Kamen. Stevenson, no panic with as the clock was running down.
And now Stevenson called for his second foul. It's Aiden Kamen, the 1-and-1. 69%, the sophomore from Andover, Massachusetts. He's come off the bench now the last 10 games after starting 8 in a row for Stanford. And one more for Kamen. Zayden High, his first appearance tonight, the sophomore from San Antonio. Bringing the 6'10" big man in off the bench, and with Vasar 2 fouls, I think Hubert Davis wants to keep him protected until halftime.
Yeah, for the last minute of this half, he wants to just get by and go into the locker room, hopefully with a lead here.
Caleb Wilson floats in the key, and the rebound batted around, and Okorie runs it down. Transition, Ryan Agarwal attacks, and a finger roll off the window by Agarwal.
Love Agarwal sprinting the lane right there and then getting rewarded for the hard run by Okorie.
He's got 11, and Agarwal averages 6 a game. And a foul will send Seth Trimble to the line for North Carolina.
Well, they get the stop, and then Agarwal running that left lane really hard, and he gets the finish at the rim. Stanford giving North Carolina a little bit of dose of their own medicine playing in transition there.
Second foul on Aiden Kamen. And 2 shots with the double bonus. Seth Trimble, 69% foul shooter. And one more for Trimble. 23 seconds left in the half. And Trimble, who missed 9 games with that broken left forearm. And he's been so consistent when on the floor for Hubert Davis this season. Stanford looks like they'll play for the final shot of the half. North Carolina leading by as many as 12.
Let's see if they guard him straight up or send an extra body at him.
Okorie attacks, step through, the drop off, and the finish. Aiden Kamen.
It's on 16 baskets. That's elite numbers right there. And now let's watch as we come out of the half. What adjustments does North Carolina make on Abuka Okorie defensively?
Ryan Agarwal had a strong first half, and that pass intercepted. Seth Trimble goes up the ladder, but Benny Geeler takes it right back. Agarwal launching. Too strong on the 3, and Henry Vasar pulls it down for the Tar Heels. Long outlet ahead, Caleb Wilson behind the defense, and he's fouled. Second on Ryan Agarwal is leaking out Wilson, and the turnovers to start the half.
Actually a really big play there by Agarwal, because they had lost Caleb Wilson obviously behind the defense, but to not give up the dunk was something that can spark Caleb Wilson, could spark this Tar Heels. Send this guy, send him to the line where he's only a 69% foul shooter.
One more for Wilson. He's got 7 points in this one, as he's been in double figures in every game so far this year for North Carolina. In fact, double doubles in 4 of the last 5 for Caleb Wilson.
I mean, he's having a special freshman year in North Carolina history. He's on pace to set the UNC freshman record in scoring. And Roxy, just think of how many great freshmen have played for the University of North Carolina. The Hansborough, Vince Carter, Joseph Forte, Antoine Jameson, McCants, Barnes, Marvin Williams, and he's going to set the scoring record out of all those guys. I know, Jordan, but Dean Smith was the guy that could hold back Jordan, right?
Well, Michael Jordan with North Carolina played in this building back in 1983. Dr. Tom Davis was the Stanford head coach at the time, and at 3 is way off from Donovan Young in North Carolina, the rebound. Michael Jordan fouled out of that game in just 7 minutes and had only 4 points.
And never fouled out since.
Go to the bucket, and Caleb Wilson goes to work inside.
There's that post footwork right there. some good lower body strength, catches deep on the block. Young not really wanting to foul because he has 2.
Here is Okorie, and he's hounded, and forcing the turnover is Seth Trimble.
Really good job by Trimble there of denying Okorie the basketball. And there you see the post up, okay? The patience there, feels the body. Young gives him some space, almost pulls the chair on him, but good balance by Wilson. An excellent finish.
And it's sequences like that one where you can see Stanford really misses Chisamuk Park.
Yeah, they really do.
Kyan Evans turns the corner. The lob. The finish by Wilson in 1.
Well, Kyan Evans has an easy job when you can just throw it up to 6'10" and put it up a foot above the rim, and he's going to go get it. Geeler did his best job to try to peel back, but Caleb Wilson is just on another level right there of elevation.
Not many people are on his level.
No, sir. No, sir.
And 1 free throw. For the McDonald's All-American, last year's Georgia Gatorade Player of the Year. And Wilson already in this second half with a strong start, has 6 since halftime, and the Tar Heels have pushed the lead to 8. Pass deflected, trying to force it to Okorie. Carolina running with Wilson. And he gets the shot to go off the window. Timeout, Stanford. And all of a sudden you look up and Carolina comes racing at commentary and reactions. And after the game, a complete breakdown of the national championship game. Coach and player interviews. National championship coming up Monday. Caleb Wilson taking this game over in the second half, but Okorie finally gets Stanford their first point since halftime.
You know, really good coaching by Kyle Smith to run a little bit of false action and get Okorie moving through the paint and then coming out the weak side on the DHO. Just really good stuff. When you know you need a bucket or a good shot, put the ball in your best player's hands, simplify the game as best as possible, and that's what Stanford did there.
Foul on A.J. Rahosi, and that will put Henry Vesar at the line for North Carolina. Okorie now with 20 points. Already his 10th 20-point game of the season, and he missed 2 games. And it spins out as Vesar is now 4 for 7 at the line. One more for Vesar. And a huge boost he has given North Carolina, transferring from Arizona. And he goes 1 for 2. He leads the Tar Heels with 17. Right now, North Carolina just face guarding Okorie.
Yeah, they just top locked him. They didn't want him coming up to get the DHO. Okorie works his way up the floor still. Here he is.
Drives. Takes the body. Grabbed his own miss. And a foul. No, it's an offensive foul on Okorie for a clear out, and Vesar is down.
Well, Okorie with a physical drive right there. Vesar does a good job of walling up, but you say the forearm catches Vesar across his face.
First on Okorie, and they may go to the monitor here to see if it warrants an upgrade to a flagrant. The Tar Heels, who flew out to the Bay Area Monday night, flew into San Jose after practicing in Chapel Hill. Practiced here yesterday, are playing the Cardinal tonight, and then we'll head across the bay before they play Cal on Saturday at Haas Pavilion as Seth Trimble spots up and nails a 3.
Really good zone offensive execution by the Tar Heels.
Trimble takes it back. Trimble attacks. Trimble drives. Little out of control, and Agarwal comes away with it for Stanford. Outlets for Ebuka Okorie. Trail 3, Ryan Agarwal. Season high 14 for the junior from Texas.
Agarwal and Okorie have a connection out there on the floor. There's been multiple times tonight in transition. And
Henry Vasar gets the roll.
And just trailing plays that Okorie just has like his antennas up to find Agarwal. Gieler has to look at the rim. I mean, he comes off right there. He's wide open at the top.
Loose ball, and the Tar Heels steal it. That's what he's out there to do, is help space the floor and shoot.
I mean, he was wide open, and his eyes are facing you and I over here on the side of the floor, and nobody was guarding him.
That was a ridiculous play by Caleb Wilson on the fadeaway, as the Tar Heels have matched their largest lead.
And at 6'10", it's hard to contest that.
10 already in the second half for Wilson. And a foul on the drive committed by Trimble. Well, next year, Heels are 6 of 7 from the floor. Stanford's turned it over 5 times, leading to 10 points. A.J. Rahosi gets the roll inside. And the first points for the birthday boy.
Great job of finding the mismatch in that. And then Rahosi making him pay.
Trimble from the corner. Missing the 3, but the offensive rebound, Caleb Wilson. Here is Trimble curling off a screen. And Trimble,
man.
And going down is Kamen, who was off balance, and a hard fall for Seth Trimble.
Man, he turned that corner hard, and that's a hard blow right there. He comes across both arms. He was not going to get that ball up to the rim.
As he got upended a bit trying to get around Henry Vasar. And that's what caused Kamen to be off balance, and a hard foul delivered to Seth Trimble.
I feel like Trimble is a little bit of like the X factor for this North Carolina team. We know he's been out with some injuries, but he's capable of having some big games. He's their best downhill driver. Okay, he can get to the rim. He's a big physical guard. He's, as Coach Hubert Davis describes, can be the best defender in the country.
And he's a proprietor. Owning Ben & Jerry's in Chapel Hill.
That's one thing I love about the NIL. Guys taking advantage and learning how to use their money wisely. Build a business.
Ebuka Okorie steps through a double team, gets to the bucket. That was next level.
Well, there you see the adjustment. They tried to put 2 on the ball with Vasar. He jumps out, but Ebuka Okorie so smooth with his handle, able to split the big fella and get all the way to the rim.
Deep 3, in and out for Derek Dixon. Offensive rebound, Henry Vasar drops it in. 21 for Vasar.
If Stanford can make somebody else besides Wilson and Vasar score, they're going to have a chance to win this game.
Ebuka Okorie scores again, 24 for the freshman.
I mean, that's beautiful. He drags the pick and roll all the way to the other side of the floor, the double team, and turns the corner and finishes over one of the best shot blockers there is in Caleb Wilson.
Extra step, Caleb Wilson traveled.
Well, here's the pick and roll. Here's the split. The between the legs goes to the rim with a beautiful finish. Then the last one, look at this. He drags it from one side of the floor to the other, turns the corner, and finishes over Caleb Wilson again. 2 possessions in a row. Ebuka Okorie trying to will this Stanford team back into this game, just keeping them alive.
The quickness and the burst that he has.
And the handle. And then the finishing ability, the whole package.
And now he's pushed by Jaden Young, as Ebuka Okorie tried to turn the corner.
And it really hasn't mattered what defender they put him. They put about 4 different guys on him tonight, okay? And it hasn't mattered. I think you still have to keep like 2 on the ball, but you got to do a better job of containing it. Basar, you can't get split. You have to almost corral the basketball a little bit more, make him play, you know, keep him on the perimeter. He's doing so good at turning the corner.
The only team that's figured him out was Micah Shrewsbury and Notre Dame. In that game, the only single-digit performance of the year for Okorie, and Stanford was held to 40 points. Here he is on a step back. 3!
Roxy, that's ridiculous. He is putting on a show.
Henry Vasar, offensive foul. The third on Vasar.
It's the Ebuka Okorie show here in Maples Pavilion. He rocks him to sleep. And because he's driven to the basket and just had 2 straight finishes, Young gets on his heels. Now he gets the separation and knocks down the 3. We are watching a special talent. Not one of the best freshmen. Not one of the best freshmen, I repeat. One of the best players in the country right here, Ebuka Okorie.
We're in the middle of January, right? Conference play is just getting going. He's already scored the 7th most points by a Stanford freshman in a season. Okorie goes to work. Cameron Grant in and out on the 3, and the rebound, Jaron Stevenson for North Carolina.
Great look. Love that Okorie didn't force it and found the shooter on the perimeter.
Jaron Stevenson drives, and Stevenson is knocked down. No foul call, but it's out of bounds to the Tar Heels.
How fun is this?
This is high-level, awesome basketball.
This is really, really good. ACC basketball at its best. Even though it's weird to say Stanford in the ACC, I'm not going to lie.
Is there a point when you will get used to it?
No, sir. Because I played in Maples Pavilion when it was saying Pac-10 and Pac-12 on the floor. I coached here.
But the one thing I will say from the days that you played in here, the energy and the excitement is in this building like when you were playing here back in the day.
Yeah, it really is. Student section is lively and active, and Bogovats, he's active behind the arc right there, knocking down the 3.
7-point lead for North Carolina.
I love what Kyle Smith is doing. Just keep it in your best player's hands.
And North Carolina running 2 guys at him. Jeremy Dent-Smith, A.J. Rahosi, and he is grabbed and fouled hard and goes down. Third foul on Jaron Stevenson. Stanford and North Carolina, the Tar Heels to go. They went on a 14-1 run. Okorie finished with 31 points in that game. He hit the game-winning 3 with 3 seconds to play. Of the final 42 points that Stanford had in that game against the Hokies, Ebuka Okorie either scored or assisted on 40 of the 42.
Is that good?
Well, it would have been even better if he was on every single one of the 42.
Well, the young man has like a will about him when you watch him play, okay? And a want to about like winning and competing. And when you have that, along with the skill set that he has, great things are going to happen to special players, for special players like him.
Caleb Wilson finds Bogovats, missed the 3, and the rebound batted around, and Cameron Grant grabs it. Here come the Cardinal. Okorie finds Jeremy Dent-Smith in transition. 3! Second 3 for Dent-Smith, and Stanford has cut the Carolina lead in half.
Dent-Smith has been a great contributor off the bench tonight. 2 for 2 from behind the arc.
Wilson will get to the line.
Well, Stanford gets the stop on one end, and then you see the vision. Okay, the way he sold it, he had his eyes straight up the floor into the paint, but all along he knew he had Dent-Smith on that right side. Great job of running the break by Okorie.
Caleb Wilson shooting 2, third foul on Oscar Healte. As Wilson now 2 for 4 at the line. And remember, I came to a Stanford practice in October, and Kyle Smith said publicly the day before I showed up and went to Stanford's practice that Okorie is going to be our starting point guard this year. And I talked to Kyle before practice the next day, and I asked him, look, you've got Jeremy Dent-Smith, the Division II All-American, transferring in. Benny Geeler has started some games for Stanford over the years. But you're going with the freshman? And Kyle looked at me and kind of smirked and said, you'll see why. You'll see why he's in the NBA next year. It's Caleb Wilson with the bucket for the Tar Heels.
But those are big possessions right there. You have to have free throw block out if you're Stanford. You want to win this basketball game. You get Caleb Wilson misses both free throws, and you don't come up with the basketball.
And now he forces a turnover. Luka Bogovac. Here is Wilson down low. And moves along the baseline. Caleb Wilson, the flush.
That's ridiculous. And you know what that was set up by, Roxy? Remember a couple minutes ago when you told me about that turnaround from play at like the 20-foot mark, not the 10-foot mark.
A.J. Rahosi inside. And it falls for A.J. Rahosi. It's not always graceful with him, but it's effective. And right to the bucket, Luka Bogovac in double figures now with 11.
Off a made basket, you can't let Carolina score within the first 6 or 7 seconds there. Got to get your defense set. A little too easy on that end.
Way behind the line. 3 rattles in for Jeremy Dent-Smith.
We mentioned it in the first half, microwave score. And Dent-Smith providing great minutes and offensive punch off the bench to complement what Okorie's doing.
A.J. Rahosi underneath the scoop. And a rebound grabbed by Luka Bogovac, who pushes. 4 on 3 for Carolina. Bogovac the step through and draws the foul. Second on Jeremy Dent-Smith. And Luka Bogovac will shoot 2. And he's been fighting it recently. Bogovac got off to a good start this year with North Carolina. But recently in double figures in just one of the last 6 games coming into tonight. He's got 12 in this one. He was in double digits in 9 of the first 10 games for the Tar Heels this year.
Yeah, he's a guy that they want to rely on to be a floor spreader, especially when you have the 2 big fellas that in Vasar and Caleb Wilson that can play in the paint. Vasar can spread it obviously behind the arc. But they want this guy to shoot shots, make threes, and be a big contributor like he is tonight.
He's that 3rd scorer for Hubert Davis tonight. Vasar with 21. Wilson with 20, and Bogovac now 13.
Watch Okorie coming out of the left side here.
Gets into the key. Jeremy Dent-Smith fires. 3! Another 3 for Jeremy Dent-Smith. He's 4 for 4 from downtown. What a fun game on the farm at Stanford tonight. Caleb Wilson. How about that move?
How fun was that? Caleb Wilson in the high post one-on-one. Just making the sweet crossover and then the extended arm finish.
Okorie, the floater, and Okorie with 29.
Touches the paint at will. Doesn't matter how many bodies are in front of him. That's an elite skill for a point guard.
Seth Trimble penetrates. The lob for Vasar down low. Vasar powers his way up and in.
Really good gather. Vasar is stronger than his body looks. Like he's kind of thin body, but man, the gather right there and then to play through that contact. Good job by the big fella.
Jeremy Dent-Smith open. 3! They left him open in the corner. Season high for Dent Smith. Bogovats back the other way. Dent Smith the rebound. Picked up by Agarwal for the Cardinal. Okorie. And it's tipped out. That'll be basket interference as Cameron Grant tried the back tap as the ball.
Caleb Wilson having a monster second half for this Tar Heel team.
Okorie getting a breather right now for Stanford. The lob over the top to Henry Fasar.
Great ATO by Hubert Davis. Knowing that Stanford is going to front the post there or three-quarter, flashes Wilson out to the wing, and then he delivers the pass perfectly over the top. So right now, if you're Stanford, where do you go offensively? Do you find Jeremy Dent Smith? This guy's been hot.
Here he is. Relocates. Missing the three. A.J. Rahosi rips down the offensive rebound. Tried the reverse layup. Last touch by Stanford. And Kyle Smith may want to challenge this. He's consulting with his bench. The ruling on the floor was North Carolina ball.
Well, Jeremy Dent Smith, 5 for 5 from behind the arc. They sprint to try to get him off the line. Good relocator, reload three by Dent Smith. Just couldn't get it to fall. So they tried to give Okorie like a little bit of an extended break. He got the timeout break. Then he's out for the first two possessions, and now they put him back in to try to close this game out and try to win it for the Cardinal here in the last 6 minutes.
Ten to shoot. Here's Fasar. Set Trimble in the corner. Tough fall away three short, and the rebound, and Stanford runs it down. It's Okorie. In rhythm, three spins out for Okorie and pulled down by the Tar Heels.
Watch Caleb Wilson on the early post up.
They get it to him.
Again, they just let him catch too easy.
Wilson,
and that's what's
over Aiden Cameron.
And that's what's going to happen. There's no three-quarter, there's no front. Ball pressure was limited. He's been killing on the left block all night. You have to get him off of his spot.
He's tied at career-high 24. Okorie gets to the bucket, and he's fouled at the rim. And two free throws for Okorie.
Here he is on the left side here. Okay, nobody's digging, nobody's helping, okay? You got to make somebody else score besides Caleb Wilson here in the second half. They're leaving him one-on-one. That's not a good matchup for the Cardinal.
8 for 8 from the floor in the second half, and 18 of his career-high tying 24 since halftime.
Either you got to make the catches a lot tougher, or if you're going to allow him to catch on his spot on that left block, he's got to see multiple bodies. Okay, he's got to see more bodies in front of him. Either send the double team, make him a passer, spray that basketball out, make Trimble or Evans try to beat you on the perimeter. Okay, something has to be adjusted there for North Carolina, for Stanford.
Free throw crawls in for Okorie. His fourth 30-point game. And it's a 4-point lead for North Carolina. And a steal, Okorie. Races to the bucket. Okorie to land. Career-high 33 for Okorie. Back to a 2-point game. Caleb Wilson. Lost his balance. 2 to shoot. The floater. Set Trimble quiets the crowd.
Good defense by the Cardinal. Just an unlucky break, and Trimble is the beneficiary of picking up that loose ball and scoring.
Ten on the timer for the Cardinal. Okorie. Off balance, throws it up. And letting it go out of bounds. Wise point.
Somebody else beat you, and then be able to have your rotations on the backside really tight. There it is. There's the corral. That's a better job by Vesar. And then the rotations were good. Now I don't let him get it back.
He gets it back. 12 to shoot. Okorie into the key. And the high archer as he got knocked down and will get 2 free throws.
You know, one thing Okorie showed me a lot right there, because they tried to deny him the basketball back, but he showed as a freshman a sense of physicality. He goes and he pushes off a little bit to get the separation to go get that basketball, and then the hard drive. And when he drives, he's a physical driver. He put his hands on the Carolina defender and initiated some of that contact.
Okorie now 6 for 8 from the line. Second foul on Caleb Wilson. And Okorie splits the pair. And it's the Tar Heels by 2.
So conversely for the Cardinal, as we talked about what North Carolina was going to do with Okorie, what are the Cardinal going to do with Vesar and Wilson? Make their catches tough. They can't just catch the ball in their spot. Here and they tried to go right there to that left block.
And Kamen was doing his work early.
Much better job. You got to make one of the other 3 shoot the basketball.
Kyan Evans lost the ball trying to step through a double team out of bounds. The Tar Heels give it away.
They took away the initial option. The ball ends up in Kyan Evans' hands. That's what you want if you're Stanford. He tries to split. Nowhere to go. Good defense by Rahosi.
80 seconds to go. Ibuka Okorie. Aiden Kamen moving in.
Good job by Trimble.
Dent Smith for the lead. Stanford goes in front. Their first lead since it was 5-4. 20 for Dent Smith, and Carolina loses the ball. Stanford has made 15 threes tonight. Ryan Agarwal, 3!
Teams do not want to foul because coaching staffs are saying, play without fouling, play without fouling. Try to get a quick one to the rim, cut it to 2, and set your press.
Seth Trimble over to Vesar.
You don't need a 3. Attack the rim.
Vesar isolated. Back it in. Vesar is fouled. Will shoot 2.
Cav, they can put Okorie back in the game.
Vesar now 5 for 10 from the free throw line. And Okorie comes back for the Cardinal.
Okay, if he makes this and cuts it to a 3-point game, you do not need to foul right away. Play for the trap. Play for a steal. And then you can foul once that ball gets near the half-court line.
Vesar makes the second. He's tied. 35 points for Ibuka Okorie. For Okorie. And there needs to be some urgency. Carolina has to go faster than quick. And they get a timeout in the catch made in midcourt by Luka Bogovac. Cameron Boozer taking on the Cal Bears over in Berkeley. All right, Carolina ball, and Seth Trimble will play it in. Lob for Wilson, and he lost his footing, and a travel is called on Caleb Wilson. And it goes over to Stanford with 3.7, and the Cardinal 3.7 away from the upset.
Great job of pulling the chair by Rahosi. Been their best post defender tonight. And what a win this is going to be for Kyle Smith and the Stanford Cardinal.
After they knocked off Louisville here, right after New Year's, Stanford about to knock off number 14 North Carolina, their second consecutive ranked opponent to come to Maples, and the Cardinal behind. A Stanford single game freshman scoring record.